Number 1.
Urciuoli was employed as a server at the Duchess Diner in Poughkeepsie, New York in 2001. He was last seen by his parents at his family's residence near the Galleria Mall on January 24, 2001. Urciuoli received a page from an unknown person at approximately 11:30 p.m. and told his parents he was going to play pool with a friend. He said he'd be back in a few hours, but he never returned, and he has never been heard from again. Authorities were unable to trace the page Urciuoli received the night he vanished. He occasionally played pool at Sharks in Fishkill, New York, but no one recalled seeing him at the establishment that night. Urciuoli's gray 2000 Nissan Maxima was discovered abandoned on January 26 at approximately 12:45 a.m. His uncle located the car at Spratt Park on Wilbur Boulevard. Urciuoli's wallet was inside the vehicle, which was locked. There was no sign of a struggle at the scene. Investigators stated that it appeared as if Urciuoli parked his car and departed with someone else. Urciuoli often worked additional shifts at the restaurant and is regarded as an outstanding employee. His family members said that it is very uncharacteristic of him to leave without warning. Authorities are not certain if he left of his own accord or if other factors were involved in his disappearance.
Number 2.
Mary was last seen walking away from her home on Broad Street in her hometown of Glens Falls, New York at 3 p.m. on August 8, 1971. She planned to meet friends to go swimming at Haviland's Cove Beach on the Hudson River. She has never been heard from again. Mary left a note behind for her mother, saying, "I'm leaving. I might miss you." She had also written a note to her sister a few months earlier, but never mailed it. Her family found it after her disappearance. In the letter to her sister, Mary wrote that she hated Glens Falls and couldn't wait for summer to start. Mary's younger brother, who was 7 when she disappeared, said there were a lot of problems at home. He believes she left of his own accord and is still alive. He described his sister as a shy and withdrawn girl, but said she seemed generally happy prior to her disappearance. Kenneth Arnold Yarder Jr. is considered a possible suspect in Mary's disappearance. In 1974, he was charged with the abduction and murder of a 16-year-old girl Susan Campbell Zanta in Argyle, New York. The charges were dismissed in 1977 after crucial evidence was thrown out of court. After 1977, Yarder was convicted of 3 rapes, 1 in New Jersey and 1 in Florida. In 1995, Yarder was charged with Susan Zanta's murder again. He confessed and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in 1996 and is serving a life sentence in prison. He will be eligible for release in 2026. Yarder has not been connected to Mary's disappearance, although he lived in Glens Falls in 1971 and worked at a restaurant near where Mary was last seen. No other suspects have been named in her case. Since she went missing, her social security number has not been used anywhere in the country. Her disappearance remains unsolved.
Number 3.
Andrew departed in his small silver and red Taylor Cub monoplane from Roosevelt Field on Long Island, New York, sometime after 9 a.m. on April 17, 1938. He planned to land at an airfield in Brentwood, approximately 22 miles away. He was only supposed to be in the air for 15 minutes, but Andrew never arrived as scheduled. His plane has never been recovered. He had 200 hours of flying experience at the time of his disappearance, just 50 hours short of the time necessary to obtain a commercial pilot's license, and was described as an accomplished pilot. His plane had enough fuel for a 150-mile flight. Andrew checked into a hotel in Garden City on Long Island under the alias Albert C. White on the day he vanished. He paid $4 in advance for the room and never checked out. His personal belongings, including his passport, clothing, cufflinks engraved with his initials, 2 $6,000 life insurance policies and his name listing his wife, Elizabeth Halsey Whitfield, as the beneficiary, and several stocks and bonds made out in Andrew's and Elizabeth's names, were left behind in the hotel room. Phone records also indicated that he called his home while his family was out looking for him, and a telephone operator says she heard him say over the phone, "Well, I am going to carry out my plan." After this information was uncovered, police theorized that Andrew had committed suicide by deliberately flying his plane into the Atlantic Ocean. There is no evidence to support this theory. A thorough search of the ocean surrounding Long Island turned up no signs of plane wreckage, and Andrew was not having personal or business problems at the time that he vanished. He had married in 1937 and had planned to move to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, the same month that he disappeared. Elizabeth sued Andrew for desertion after his disappearance. She explained that she did not believe he had deliberately abandoned her, but she thought the suit would be a way to better publicize his disappearance. Many people across the United States claimed that they saw Andrew for years after his plane vanished. Andrew was the nephew of the steel tycoon Andrew Carnegie on Carnegie's wife's side. He was a graduate of Princeton University and was employed as a business executive in 1938. He was declared legally dead in 1946, and his case has long been closed by law enforcement due to the passage of time, but Andrew's disappearance continues to mystify people.
Number 4.
Whittlesey boarded the SS Taloa for a voyage from New York to Havana, Cuba on November 26, 1921. The ship was owned by United Fruit Company and took passengers on commercial voyages. Whittlesey ate dinner with the captain that evening. He appeared to be in good spirits at the time. He left the smoking room at 11:15 p.m., saying he was going to bed. He has never been heard from again. He was reported missing at 8 a.m. the next day. He left behind 9 letters addressed to his family and friends and a note for the captain saying what to do with his luggage. Prior to his voyage, he had put his affairs in order at home, wrote a will leaving all his property to his mother, and paid a month's rent in advance. Whittlesey apparently committed suicide by jumping overboard, but no one saw him go over, and his body was not recovered. None of the letters he wrote revealed the motive for his actions. Whittlesey was born in Florence, Wisconsin and moved to Massachusetts as a child. He graduated from Williams College in 1905 and earned a law degree from Harvard University in 1908. In 1917, a month after the United States entered World War I, he left his law practice and enlisted in the Army, where he attained the rank of major. He had a very distinguished service record and was awarded a Congressional Medal of Honor for valor. After the war, he returned to law practice and was frequently asked to give talks about his war experiences. He never married. Due to the passage of time, Whittlesey's disappearance is no longer being investigated. He was never located, however.
Number 5.
Wilbur was last seen buying groceries at the supermarket in Angelica, New York at 5:45 p.m. on August 4, 1985. She has never been heard from again. Because she was a widow and lived alone, her disappearance wasn't noticed for about a week. When authorities checked her house on West Main Street, they found her new 1985 Ford Escort was found parked in her driveway with groceries, including perishables such as milk, rotting inside it. Her house was unlocked, all the shades were drawn, and there was a half-eaten meal sitting out on the kitchen table. Wilbur, a retired farmer, was noted for having a surly disposition and a bad temper. She frequently used foul language and would curse at anyone who came to her house for any reason. She was a loner without any relatives or friends. She kept a diary where she wrote about people in the community, and one of the people she wrote about frequently was David Shirk, one of her neighbors. A photo of Shirk is posted with this case summary. In the summer of 2020, Shirk confessed to Wilbur's murder. He was in a Wyoming County, New York medical facility, being treated for terminal cancer at the time. He told authorities he had buried Wilbur's body near the Almond Dam, an area which has flooded many times in the years since her disappearance. Authorities are looking for her remains. Because of Shirk's cooperation and his terminal condition, charges are not expected to be filed in Wilbur's murder.
Number 6.
Sara was last seen riding her pink and white 10-speed mountain bicycle to her family's residence on Hackettrum Road in Frankfort, New York on August 18, 1993. She was returning from Norwich Corners Church on Roberts Road and Grafenberg Road in Frankfort, where she attended summer Bible school. The church was less than a mile from her house. Sara picked up some posterboard, a church songbook, and some 8 by 10-inch plastic transparencies at the church before heading home. She apparently made it safely down Roberts Road and was last seen pedaling up a steep hill on Hackettrum Road, 4/10 of a mile from her residence. Sara's bicycle and the supplies she'd picked up were discovered in an area of brush several hundred feet off of Hackettrum Road later in the evening. The bicycle was leaning against a tree, and the supplies were scattered nearby. Sara has never been seen again. Louis S. Lent Jr., 45, was charged with Sara's abduction and murder in 1996, 3 years after she was last seen. A photo of Lent is posted with this case summary. Lent pleaded guilty to the abduction and murder of another child, 12-year-old James Bernardo, in Massachusetts in 1990. Lent initially confessed to Sara's abduction and claimed he buried her body in a clearing near Roquette Lake in the Adirondack Mountains. He drew a map of the burial location for authorities. It was supposedly in or near the town of Inlet. Extensive searches there did not produce any evidence as to Sara's whereabouts, and Lent admitted that she was not really there. He refused to divulge the whereabouts of her remains, saying he had another body buried nearby and did not want that one to be found. Lent later recanted his statements but was convicted of the crime nonetheless. Sara has never been located. In 2013, Lent also confessed to the 1992 murder of James Jamie Lusher, whose body has never been found. Lent has never been charged in connection with Lusher's case, but witnesses placed him in the area of Lusher's disappearance. Sara's family founded the Sarah Ann Wood Rescue Center, later renamed the Mohawk Valley branch of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Foul play is strongly suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved.
Number 7.
Zani was last seen in Victor, New York on October 25, 2005. He had his car, a gray 2000 Toyota, repaired at the Eastview Mall that morning. At 4 o'clock or 5 p.m. that same day, Zani's car was found abandoned on Walworth, Ontario Road north of Route 441 in Walworth, New York. Although it was raining heavily, the vehicle's windows were rolled down. It had 3/4 of a tank of gas and was in operable condition. It had been driven about 25 miles that couldn't be accounted for. An hour after the car was found, someone matching Zani's description was seen walking along the road. He has never been heard from again. Zani lived alone in East Rochester, New York at the time of his disappearance, but he was under supervision from a local group home. He is described as a loner with few friends. He divorced 2 years before his disappearance but was still on friendly terms with his ex-wife. He has 2 young children. At the time of his disappearance, Zani was due to inherit a substantial sum of money in trust from his mother, who had recently died. He normally pays for everything with a credit card, but it has not been used since his disappearance. Zani's loved ones stated he would not have willingly abandoned his vehicle. He worked part-time at Pliant Corporation in Macedon, New York at the time of his disappearance. Investigators believe Zani is missing under suspicious circumstances. His case remains unsolved.